Even though the Bitcoin price already had a very nice rally to the upside in the last few weeks, I think that the price can go much and much higher before the end of the year. And I'm going to be using this chart to prove that I believe a major move is still incoming in the coming few weeks. So make sure to sit down, relax, and let's get into this video. Alright, so before I talk about this chart, which is going to blow you away, I first want to talk about this very specific chart. And I've talked about this chart before, but this is the historical volatility and the BitMEX funding rate. And as you guys probably know, if the historical volatility goes under 20 on a daily time frame, a major move is very likely incoming. And if the funding rate is negative, that means that this move will likely be to the upside. You can see it over here. The historical volatility went under 20 and then the funding rate was negative, and so we got a move to the upside. And then the same thing over here, just as I said a few weeks ago, the historical volatility went under the 20, and because the funding rate was negative, this move was as well to the upside. So I've talked about this chart before, and you guys know exactly that I predicted this move over here to the upside with both of the indicators right over here, and I as well went into a long position, which I as well closed on amazing profit. However, if I right now look at the historical volatility on the 3-day time frame, you can see that the historical volatility is again going under 20. And this is very interesting because we just got a move to the upside. But again, the historical volatility goes under the 20, even though we already had a volatile move. That's kind of crazy, right? Yes. However, this chart is basically indicating like, hey, the historical volatility is still very low, which means that this move to the upside might go much higher in the coming few weeks moving forward. Now keep in mind that the price can still go sideways for a few weeks, and I will actually talk about the scenario as well. However, the historical volatility is still very low, indicating that yes, a major move is still incoming in the coming few weeks moving forward. And as you can see, I can just do the same thing again. The funding rate over here was negative, and then the historical volatility went under the 20 on the 3-day time frame, and then we got a move over here to the upside. Same thing over here. The historical volatility went under the 20 again, and the funding rate was positive, meaning that we saw a move to the downside. And I can for instance as well do it over here. We did see over here a little bit of positive funding rate, but you can see overall that the funding rate over here was in a negative, and then we saw over here a move to the upside. And then as well, right before this major dump to the downside, we as well saw positive funding rate, and then over here the historical volatility went under 20. And before 2017, BitMEX didn't really exist, but you can see that every time that the historical volatility went under the 20, Bitcoin got a move to the upside, and this basically predicted every single move over here to the upside pretty much throughout this channel right over here until the price broke it over here to the upside. So this is a very accurate indicator that predicts most of the major moves that we have seen in Bitcoin, and you can again see that the funding rate is in the negative and the historical volatility is as well over here under 20, meaning that we're probably still going to be looking at a further continuation to the upside. However, there's one chart which is indicating that potentially we're going to be looking at sideways action first before a further continuation to the upside, and this is the hash ribbon indicator. Now, I have talked about this in the last few videos, but we just got a confirmation that yes, the hash ribbon's crossed right over here just with the normal settings, so I did not change any of my settings right over here, and we got a confirmed hash ribbon crossing. And you can see the last few times that this happened, over here the Bitcoin price went sideways. It did over here go a little bit to the upside, but every time that the hash ribbons cross bullish again, that's when we got a major move to the upside. We have seen this play out many times before, and over here we saw the same thing as well. The price actually dumped here to the downside. Now I don't think that the price is going to dump to the downside like this, but you can see that after the hash ribbons over here crossed again bullish, that was pretty much the bottom. And after that, the price did went a little bit to the downside, but then it bottomed out around $3,000, and then it had the reversal back to the upside again. So this is potentially indicating that the price may go a little bit sideways for a few weeks, and then after we get a new buy signal, that's when the price rallies again crazy to the upside. And this doesn't really matter too much, because if I go over here back to 2016, you can see that the historical volatility went under 20 on the 3-day time frame for basically 2 months here. So the historical volatility can be under 20 for maybe 1 or 2 months before the Bitcoin price has a major breakout again to the upside. So again, we don't necessarily have to see any instant move here to the upside. We might be looking at 1 or 2 months sideways action, and then after that we might see a major breakout all the way towards about $20,000. Now if I look over here at the shorter time frame, you can see a bearish divergence forming. So I do believe that yes, we will still be looking at sideways action. So I think in the coming days we'll potentially see a little bit of a pullback here to the downside, and then maybe some sideways action for a few weeks, and then we might see the hash ribbons cross bullish again, and then we get maybe a new buy signal over here back in the middle of November, and that's when we might finally see the uptrend over here resume to the upside towards, you know, $20,000, $18,000. I think that those targets can be very likely if you look at some of the major breakouts that we have, for instance, seen in the past when the historical volatility was this low. For instance, if I go over here back to 2016, you could see over here, this was about a 30% move to the upside, and this was almost 100% to the upside. Over here, this was around 80%. This little move to the upside was about 80%. And over here, this was about 50% again. So I would not be surprised, you know, that we could be looking over here at another 25-30% move to the upside, which could bring us all the way to around 18,000 US dollars. Now I do want to give you guys a major warning. Now let's say in December we will see another large move here to the upside. We could be looking at a very, very big rejection. So let's say we go to about, you know, 18,000 US dollars. This would be a very, very high target, but let's say we hit that target. It would still be very possible that the Bitcoin price comes back over here to the downside and retest the bottom trend line around 13,000 US dollars before the price goes here further to the upside. So I do want you guys to understand that FOMO isn't very good and the price will potentially still have a lot of pullbacks. If I go back here to 2016, you could see the Bitcoin price came back to this exact trend line and then came here back to the bottom, then to the same trend line again, to the bottom, to the same trend line again, before it broke it to the upside. So it went 3 times to this trend line before it broke it over here to the upside and went to higher levels. So if I go, you know, to the current uptrend, you can see that the Bitcoin price came to this trend line 1 time. And so we might be looking at maybe again, you know, the price coming 3 times towards this trend line before it breaks it over here to the upside. So pullbacks will likely still happen, even though that I think that the price can still go a little bit higher. I do want to make you guys aware that FOMO isn't very good. And because we're still in the early stages of a big bull market, I expect that we will still be looking at pullbacks. So yeah, the conclusion of this video, I still believe we're going to be looking at a little bit of sideways action. However, in the coming weeks, we're still going to be looking at a further continuation to the upside. That's what I personally believe. Again, I don't give any financial advice, so do your own research. But this is what I can make up from the current price action and the indicators that I am watching. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like this video. And as well, make sure to join the free Telegram. The link to that's in the description. And I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.